Some directors, but it's strange because they are all different. So, for example, when I'm working with Harmony Corinne, I can do mostly whatever I want. It's even sometimes for me, but it's not difficult, but sometimes I ask to Harmony, is it okay? This is what you want? You say, no, 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 do your stuff. It's fine.
Okay.
You can use the colors you like. And so, which is great because you can experiment and go further and further.
I first found Benoit's work on Spring Breakers. I loved a lot of things about that movie, but his cinematography was top of my list. And then I met up with him in LA and was kind of surprised. He was very much a normal guy who happened to love cinematography. There was no pretense or flair, just a human being. This made his work even more interesting to me. Instead of him trying to make visual statements or have a certain persona, it seemed much more likely that the camera is a very real extension of himself. It's something intuitive, and his lighting style allows an unusual freedom. What he does often just feels right to the viewer, but also exciting and unexpected. And that's actually incredibly hard to achieve. He's a singular voice in a very busy landscape, and I hope you enjoy his perspective. This is The Other Pod. How are you?
Good?
I'm so happy that this is happening.
Yeah, yeah, finally, yeah.
There's a lot of pursuing, so I'm very glad it worked out. How are
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
doing?
Good, good. And you? Well,
I mean, I'm in America, so it's different, right?
yeah, yeah. Where did you stay in LA?
I'm in Northern California mostly, and then I go down to LA for work, and then I come back up.
Ah, okay, okay, okay,
But
good.
I don't spend all my time in LA.
Okay, yeah, you just travel and
When was the last time you were here?
last year I was there for mostly the year. I did a movie with Jonah Hill and with Miley Cyrus also, and
Yep.
so I spent mostly the year in LA. Yeah, I was in LA for I don't know 5 or 6 months with Jonah.
What was it like growing up in Belgium, especially in like the 60s and 70s? Was there anything that you think had a large impression or was very sort of formative for you? What was it like then?
Oh wow. I don't know. I think what I like in Belgium, the quality of life, it's quite good.
Yeah.
Maybe not the weather, but but the quality of life is good. So I think we have a nice, we have mostly everything. So everything
Yeah.
is there, and we can. Well, I don't know exactly, but so I come from there. So it's,
And it feels right.
this is
Is she,
also my culture. This is more like a French culture.
yeah.
So it's maybe easier for me to stay over there.
Is your family still there?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. My wife, my kids. I have two kids.
Yeah.
So yeah,
How
boy
old
and
are
a
they now?
24 and 20.
Are they interested in what you're interested in or not so much?
No, 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 not really. No, 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 no.
Fair
I'm just
enough.
my,
Fair enough. Are they in university?
yes, my daughter, she wants to be, in fact, she studied for to be a lawyer
Yep.
or an accountant, I don't know.
Yeah.
And my son is more like an artist, is
Okay.
like a painter,
Cool.
painter. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
That's good.
Well,
That's good.
that's nice. That's very nice. So do you mind if I begin with our questions?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that
Go
okay?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So you went to film school and then you worked in television for about 10 years. I am going to ask some sort of basic questions because I think a lot of people may not know what it means to work in TV or what it means to be a focus puller, like some things that sort of lay some groundwork if it's not someone who's terribly well versed in what we do. Um,
Mhm.
and then after you did TV, which sounds like it was more of a slog, you met Gaspar Noé, and it seems like, and tell me if I'm wrong, your career kind of just exploded after that because it's just movie after movie after movie. But you were also a DP. You were no longer working in television. You were able to sort of come up with your own visual identity in cinema. And what I'm wondering, A, how did you manage going from like not so much fun, desirable work to all of a sudden having the career that you wanted? And what did you figure out once you had that kind of access and power in terms of your own visual style and language?
Oh wow! So I think that, when I met Gaspar, I think I met Gaspar because he watched a film I did before. It was a short film, And so he was very interested about the look and the visual of the movie. And so he called me to shoot Irreversible. And it's true because I had to decide because I was working mostly on TV, but hoping to shoot, to shoot a feature film. But in Belgium on that time, it was not so easy to be a DP on a feature film because I was quite young and everything, and you cannot be like a DP in Belgium and start when you finish school. And so I decided to work on TV, but already like a DP on TV. So, and I think also the good thing that because it was a small TV in Belgium, so I was able also to experiment a lot of things. And at the end, I learned, I think, my work because if you try a gel or a colors or you have the freedom to do your stuff, and at the end you learn how to light a set or a studio or a stage or people. And but for example, when I start with Gaspar, he was asking me mostly the opposite. That means he was asking me not to use any lights and not to use any gels or colors, because the idea was also to shoot 360 degrees with the camera, you know. And he was asking me to have the freedom to to be able to do that, not to have like a stand with projectors or a lamp or gels and everything. And so I had to create like a kind of new style because usually when you work on a film or on TV, you can use the equipment and the lighting and everything. And him was asking not to use all of that. So I had to think about how to write a movie without equipment. And so little by little, I started to observe. And for example, we were shooting in Paris, and to observe the street and see, okay, I have a street lamp, for example, there. This is in sodium. And so how can I light the scene with this kind of lamp? And so little by little, I started to light all the movie with just practical lamps. So we were buying, some street lamps or asking the city to give us, some globes or some poles with sodium light inside. And I think my style, I think started from that movie because at the end I was it was quite fun to experiment that, and I was also quite excited to do that, to light a movie with no lights, or just practicals. And 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 after that, it's for example, I still even now I still thinking on that way. If I can light a set without too much equipment, I prefer because for me it's more natural, and also that gives me the opportunity to move with the camera and to follow the actors and everything. But sometimes I have to work with light. It depends of the scene, of the movie, of the style, of what the director wants. And yeah.
And when you say practicals, like you're not using bounces, you're not using anything, you're only using
No,
the
it
diegetic
was
lights?
just yeah, because for example on that film, Gaspar, it was it was a challenge for me because it was, let's say, my first feature film
Yeah.
and as a DP. And I did a smaller one before, but that one was a real feature film on cinema and everything. And but no bounds, no even we use sometimes black wraps and everything, nothing. So I was more trying to find a way to because the idea also it was to keep some colors.
Right.
Because it was I love colors and everything. Gaspar's also, and so I was trying to find colors with practicals, and I remember the club, at the end of the movie, or this is at the beginning, I don't know. The rectum, this is the club where you have like gay people and everything. All the club is lit in red colors, and it was just bulbs. And I remember I was alone on the sidewalk
Yeah.
painting all the bulbs in red. Because when you have, on that time, it was with the filaments, it was not LED and everything.
Yeah.
So the red bulbs, it was just 25 watts. And
Wow.
with 25 watt, you cannot light a scene on film of
Yeah.
our Atlantic. And so I was using like, I think it was 150 watts.
Yeah.
And I found color spray who can, resist on the high temperature.
Yeah.
And so I did all the club just with that. with
That's amazing. That's really
Yeah,
cool, though.
and it was cool because we had like a red color, so a little bit weird because it was red orangey, if I a bit. And I remember on that day I found a stroboscope,
Yeah.
and I put a red gel on the stroboscope, and Gaspar was very excited about the strobe light, and he said, "I want strobe everywhere on the club and everything." I said, "Yeah, but I have only one." And I remember we were shooting a Sunday night because the club was closed, so we were using the club. And I said to Gaspar, "I don't think I will find like 20 strobes Sunday night in Paris." And so at the end. When he was turning with the camera, he always, because the strobe was, we had only one, he was always crossing that room with the strobe because he was obsessed about the strobe.
Right.
And now all the movie we are doing together, this is always with strobe mostly, yes.
And how do you handle film in that context? Because you've got so little light. Can the
Yeah.
emulsion hold up, or do you just accept grain and you're like, this is where we live now? Like, how do you balance that diegetic light need with what film can do?
But on that time it was we shot on Super 16, so it
Yeah.
was even not 35,
Yeah.
and the film stock was a little bit grainy. And I remember I was pushing, I was using the during the night. I was using the 500 ASA. It was a Kodak film stock. And I was pushing one stop. So it was 1,000 ASA. And I remember doing the test, I was trying 2,000 ASA to see, but it was much
Too
too
much.
grainy. And also the colors were not very stable. So I had to come back to just one push. And at the end, I did mostly the movie in 1000 ASA. In fact, no, not all the movie. All the part during the daytime was like a
Oh,
250 daylight.
yeah.
But the night it was the 500, and I was pushing one step. And it's grainy, but I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful for what is it?
It is. And I know you love shooting on film. And so just to go back to the earlier question, when you did that movie and it hit the way that it did the world kind of open up, or did you still have to like put one foot in front of the other to get where you are now? Like, or did that sort of change everything?
Um no, no, you mean after that movie
Yes.
or? Uh, No, because I think at the end it's funny because it was my first feature film, but at the end it was mostly for me. I think it was no, but it was a project. I don't think I was able on that time to shoot like, let's say, a big Hollywood American movie with because it was maybe too big to manage, And
Okay.
that one, that movie was perfect because I think it was exactly uh, yeah, it was my style at the end,
Yeah.
and so I was quite, I was maybe a little bit stressed, on the project because I had to find solution after solution and everything. But at the end, it was not too difficult neither because it was just to find the good
Yeah.
look for the scene or to the good colors or
That's
and expose the film stock also. Yeah,
and so
and so I think little by little I started to enjoy this kind of
yeah.
technique. And no, I still work a lot on
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
And you've mentioned when you shoot with Gaspar, you come onto set and he brings you on like a day before shooting. Is
Yes.
is that fun or is that chaotic or does it teach you stuff because in that moment you've got to figure things out and adapt? Like what is that process like? Because usually it's months of preparation, but
Yeah, I
with him
know.
it's not.
No, no, never. Because when I did Enter the Void, and it was one of the most difficult movie I did. And I arrived in Japan a week before we start to shoot.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because I think it was too short. But I think for him, he doesn't want me to be ready. And I think now it's different because we know each other and we work forever since 20 years. But he wants maybe, yes, to have a kind of chaos, maybe, or maybe not to be too, I don't know, not to be ready and just maybe have some accident. I think for me, this is probably that he wants accident. And so if you are not ready, you probably you will make a mistake or you will do something not you know you are not prepared, so you have to find something. But he gives you also the good thing. He gives you the time to be ready on the set. For example, if you have to find a solution because you
Okay.
didn't prep anything, you have the time to find the solution. It's not just, allez, let's go. We have to shoot.
And do you embrace that chaos or does it stress you out? Or are you like, screw it, let's see what we can do with, a desk
No,
lamp and
I think with Gaspar, I enjoy the chaos because this is the way he wants to shoot. But I don't like this kind of chaos if you are with another director
okay.
and he wants you to be ready and you are not ready. This
Yeah.
is the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And so once you came out and people saw what you could do, it seems like you attracted a very specific kind of director. Does that seem fair to say?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because at the end, this is all this kind of director are calling me at the end to to shoot with them.
And it seems like they give you a huge amount of freedom. Does that
Yeah.
also seem correct? So how do you balance their aesthetic vision and what they want with the sort of very wide berth that they give you? Or are they really coming to you and they just say, you know what, Benoit, you figure, you do it, show me what you want to do? Like, how does that work? And then creatively, how do you keep each project interesting and exciting? What do you do what are the challenges you do for yourself with each film?
Yeah, so it's true. Usually they give me a lot of freedom because I think when they hire me, they want a little bit my style. I think they want me. If I don't know. So usually they don't try to block me or to go in another direction. Some directors, but it's strange because they are all different. So, for example, when I'm working with Harmony Corinne, I can do mostly whatever I want. It's even sometimes for me, but it's not difficult, but sometimes I ask to Harmony, is it okay? This is what you want? You say, no, 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 do your stuff. It's fine.
Okay.
You can use the colors you like. And so, which is great because you can experiment and go further and further. And I remember when I was doing Spring Breakers,
Yeah.
I was trying to use colors I never use, because some movie you cannot use, I don't know, a purple or dark lavender or red and but on that film I had the freedom to use all the colors I wanted. And so I was with, you have on that time you have the Lee, the Lee filters, and you can check your colors and everything. And I was trying to find a colors I was sure it was impossible to use on another movie. Colors you never use because nobody wants this kind of color. And so it was for me. It was really exciting to to
Yeah.
to experiment that. Yeah.
I mean, because you seem like you're one of the few people who get to sort of be themselves there's a couple who get to really be the cinematographer that they are. And then I'm wondering when you do, let's say, a Chanel ad or commercial work, which I imagine pays very well,
Yeah.
how are they paying at that point really because it's you, or are they giving you that same kind of freedom, or is that more a commercial job? And if so, do you enjoy scaling it down, or is it hard doing something that's more expected?
Yeah, no, for example, let's say Chanel, it's a good example. This is Chanel. So you have to respect some, but I think they asking me to do it because this is what I am doing. I don't know. But sometimes I cannot go too far away neither.
Of
I
course.
need to respect the product and if they want something more, let's say, elegant or less contrasty or less colorful, I go for that because it's for a commercial. But usually they also respect if I suggest something, they respect they respect me too. So it's well, it's another approach. Commercials, it's more, you have to respect also the client, the product, and all the stuff. It's not the same world.
Well, because I feel that in my world too when I do stills, and there's
Yeah.
editorial, which is you can do whatever you want and is awesome, and then there's advertising, which is how you live, and you have to sort of bring it into a more narrow focus, right? Where you're like, okay, I can bring these pieces I love, but I can't go crazy with what I'd really want to do. And so it's interesting balancing those two competing desires.
And you know what I like or I discover when I'm shooting commercials also. So you have the freedom also to experiment some I don't know lenses or equipment or cameras, but also that give you the time to wait for a good project, for a good movie.
Fair
You
enough.
know, instead of shooting like, I don't know, 5 movies a year or 3 movies a year, I sometimes I can wait 6 months and wait for the good project and just bring the movie I really want to do and not just make a film because I need to work and make a film. So this is also what I like a lot with commercials. This is a nice balance.
That's a very fair comment. And I think that's what a lot of people with a unique vision do, right? It's like, I want to do what I really want to do. And so I'll do this other stuff that's interesting and fun, but it allows me so much more freedom.
Yeah, yeah. And for example, commercials, I'll try also to pick the one I
Of
want to
course.
do. I don't,
Yeah.
doing it. But no, I think this is a good mix. I like it.
I agree. No, I agree. So I know that you operate and you DP, which I think
Yeah.
is unusual. And I'm curious because for someone like me, like when I do double exposures or when I do things that are a specific skill set, I've noticed that I tend to operate more by the feeling of it than by being technically insane and being like, I moved 2 inches, I got to do this thing again. When you're doing both, and what that means is you're executing what the scene looks like, but you're also handling the camera. Do you do it more by intuition, or are you very exact? Like, I need to stop here, and then I have to go back 2 feet, and then I have to go here. How do you do both at the same time?
No, usually it's by intuition. So I like to operate for two things. I don't know. I like to operate anyway, but also I think I'm stronger when I do both. When I go for the lighting and also for the camera because when I operate, and it was because I started with film, and so when you look through the eyepiece, you see much better. Because now on digital it's a little bit different, but before you were the only one to see exactly the frame, the scene, all the lighting inside of your frame, the reflection, the shiny parts. And because I work also with a lot of reflection. I like, for example, if the wall is shiny, I like also to play with the reflection on the wall. Or I don't know, or the floor is shiny. I play, and so when you frame, or when you operate, you can also move a little bit your camera
Yeah.
to catch this kind of small details, and also to work with the actors because I like also to work with the actors, and it's more like a choreography between the camera and the actor
Yeah.
and the actors, and that means I give them the freedom to move, and I can follow them. And I also, when I frame the actors, I check if there is something wrong on the face, or I don't
Yeah.
know, a bad shadow, And but also I try to put my camera where the lighting it's interesting also for me or for the look I want to give. I don't know. I like that.
Well, I think, also you shoot a lot of movies that have a lot of actresses in difficult positions. I mean, in terms of either what's happening to them, how they're dressed, stuff where it's like, these are famous people who have to live with how they look in a very public way. And what I think is very interesting about your work is you always you capture women specifically very differently. Like when I watch your movies, I don't feel, oh God, like what's going to happen? Is it going to be inappropriate or gross or weird or too much? Like I think sometimes the plots are a lot, which is fine, but the way that you capture them, when you said you work with the actors, I'm curious if you could talk a little bit specifically about how you look to and execute shooting women, because I think you do it very differently and you do it in a way that has a lot more awareness and depth, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
Spring Breakers, it's all these very young girls in bikinis all the time. And
Yeah,
yet, at no point did I feel like, oh, this is gross or too much, or like it didn't feel exploitative. And I felt like that movie, with a different director, different cinematographer, could have been a very different film. And you
yeah,
guys really kept it in a place where at the end, I was like, it was a celebration of kinds, but I just felt like, wow, they really presented these girls in a way that was about the story, about the aesthetics, about unexpected beauty without ever veering into something uncomfortable or gross. And I'm curious if you could talk about, as a cinematographer, your approach to women.
what I try to do, it's always to take care of the I don't know the body or also the face of the girl or the actress to because I never want her to be uncomfortable or or feel not great on the image and everything. But also I try to work for the movie. So sometimes it's not easy because you have like a movie a bit trash or difficult or like I don't know, Irreversible. It was hard for Monica Bellucci, but I think she is beautiful on the movie, and and so sometimes I try. It's for that also when I told you I like to operate because on the eyepiece I can see very well what's happening on the face or if this is not too hard for the girl or in terms of lighting or in terms even of color. And but I try also to respect the script and the movie in terms of because I think for me the lighting and even the camera it's a character in a movie.
Yeah.
I always thinking that maybe not, but I think for you help also the narrative of the movie with the camera and the lighting. And uh, and the good thing usually the girls or the actresses are quite comfortable when they work with I don't know, with me and everything. And this is more like a complicity, I think, between, and it's for that I think it's important to do, for me to operate because I can also talk to the actress and asking her maybe move a little bit to the right because the lighting is better for your face or for your body, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, I love that about your work, and I've noticed consistently with you that that is something that, again, the women are just shot differently, and the plot can still be difficult, or they can still be in hard situations, but I never feel like there's this sort of prurient camera. It feels like the camera is very much trying to capture them, and I do really love that about your work, and I think it's part of what makes your work so different.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think,
no, no.
when you say you talk to them, when you say you engage with them, I part of me has to believe that builds a very different rapport.
Yeah, or for example, I don't know, we are on a place, and because usually I with my lighting, I give the freedom to move quite quickly for the actors and also the director if he wants to change the scene. And usually, if let's say I'm shooting like a close-up of a girl or a man, whatever, if I feel the lighting on the face is not so great, I ask them maybe to move a little bit on the
Yeah.
room, and I find maybe a better place for them if we need to, to rush or to shoot and not start to change again everything. And I try to find the best position for them. Uh, I don't know if we're outside, maybe if the sun is too hard on the face, but I go against the sun and I play more with flares and stuff like that to help for the actress. Yes.
And it's great you have directors who let you have that level of flexibility, right? Like you're not just
Yeah,
stuck on
usually
your
they,
mark. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, usually they give me this kind of freedom. Yeah. Yeah.
That's nice. What's your feeling about the new LED lights versus the traditional tungsten? And when you envision a scene with different colors and kinds of lights, do you make different sort of concessions in your brain given what you're lighting with, or is light light? It just depends on where it's coming from.
No, usually I quite enjoy, I still love, for example, the film stock, but in terms of lighting, I quite enjoy the LED lights. It's completely, but no, but it's a new world. But what I like, this is also because for some movie, I like to play with colors.
Yeah.
And the LED give me the freedom to change the colors quickly. And for example, if I start a scene and I don't know, I had the idea, maybe let's go for a green light. And at the end, I say maybe green is not the great color. I go for yellow. I don't know. I can change it's fast, super quickly, and also I can also during the scene or the take change the colors, and this is
Yeah.
something I start to work a lot with, and play with the contrast or change the colors during the scene, or strobe or dim, and I have a lot of flexibilities with that, and it's much easier than before. But in terms of quality of light, I still love, for example, let's say you have like just a bulbs, the old bulbs. I still prefer the old bulbs in terms of quality of light. And I still use them. It depends of what I have to do. Uh, but for example, if you have like an LED bulbs, you can change the colors on the scene, you can dim, you can do a lot of things with. But it depends. It depends. If I don't know, let's say if I have to make like a beauty shot of a girl, I will use maybe a tungsten bulbs instead of an LED bulb. But if this is an effect or this is just colors, or I enjoy to play with LED.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, and so this leads me to my next question, where you said, for me, when we shoot film, everyone's focused on the action, on what we have to do, the actors, the director, the DP, and everybody else. When we shoot in digital, it's completely different. Everyone's shooting for what seems like forever with no cuts. And so I think it's funny, right? Like you like the lights, but I feel like digital is not your love. And I'm curious, have you are you able to be steadfast in your love for film, or have you had to keep adapting to digital? And if so, how are you doing it?
No, what I find anyway, if you give me the choice, I go for film. But I think now we need to be ready for everything. So I keep to experiment digital because I shot a lot on digital, and I start also to find a nice look, and I can work on. I also try to destroy the digital look because it's too clean.
How do you
but
do that specifically?
but
How do you destroy the digital look?
usually, what I'm doing, I'm using very old lenses.
Oh, interesting.
So to destroy already the sharpness of the camera and to have some distortion and some aberration. But also I play inside of the camera and I destroy a little bit the signal. But this is more like, with people, I'm not doing it by myself, but to try to have less, because for me it's so it's so clean sometimes, and the skin. In fact, this is more the skin. I have a problem with the skin on digital. I think the skin is so beautiful when you shoot on film.
Yeah.
In fact, the skin tone, I mean, and on digital, you it looks more like a plastic, or yes, it's quite flat, and I don't know. This is difficult. So I try also to add some. It's more like digital noise, but it's more like grain
Yeah.
to kill a little bit the the sharpness and the crispy aspect. I don't know of the
Yeah.
digital. Yes, and I never use nowhere for 6K, 8K, but I don't care if this is 2K and this is beautiful. I'm fine with 2K. I don't need to have a super sharp and
What are the old lenses you use, and do you personally adapt them, or is there like a service that adapts them?
yeah, no, I found like very old lenses in Russia, but long time ago. This is a Lomo. It's an
Yeah.
old, maybe
Yeah.
LOMO, but I did like an adaptation on it. So it's like quite unique. It's just one set. I have that set, but I did it a long time ago because when I started to work on digital, I was not happy about the look. And so I was trying to find something to destroy the look of the digital. And now those lenses are, but this is anamorphic. It's not spherical. It's anamorphic. But this is so beautiful. And on each project, I always keeping to try different lenses, but each time I come back mostly on those one because
Oh,
it's
interesting.
mostly unique. For example, we did a beach bum with that with
Yeah.
those lenses, and and but it was on film, but yes, and I still try. For example, even I try to bring some lenses from still camera, and I put those lenses on the digital camera, and it works well. It's quite cool.
Interesting. That is
Like
cool.
there's an icon, or
Yeah.
also, or fine,
Interesting.
yeah,
You must
yeah.
be very good at pulling focus though.
If
Or do you have a
I,
focus puller on your
no,
sets?
no, no. I don't do the focus by myself,
Okay.
but I have a focus puller. Yes, yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say if you're operating and pulling
I need
focus with weird lenses, like good for you, man.
no,
That
no,
would be
no, no. But
amazing.
I need to be very good because those lenses sometimes are not so good.
Yeah.
They are good in a way, but they are not very precise. You know what I mean?
Yes.
A little
Yes.
bit.
Very, very much so. Will you explain what color grading is? And then I'm wondering, do you make mistakes in color grading and then sometimes say like, "Oh, this is actually way cooler. Let's try this." Could you talk about that?
Yes, for example, this is one part I like also on my work because when you shoot a movie, sometimes you don't have always the time to, let's say, to finish completely your work because now but it's for that because now we shoot on digital and I told you it's forever. Sometimes I shoot, let's say you start a take and after 40 minutes you are still shooting the take. So in one point you don't have the time to put the camera and maybe change a little bit something. And I'm always thinking, okay, this is not exactly what I wanted, maybe, but I will do it later. And in terms of contrast, or maybe the wall on the back, it's too bright. And during the color timing, this is always something. It's for that I like the color timing because usually I'm alone with the colorist and we are just two of us and I can play with him and experiment and keep going to experiment colors, contrast, look, maybe grain, destroy the signal if you feel it's too clean, and this is a part I really enjoy. I can spend months. I don't have months, but this is something I really like to do. Yes, and
Do you,
on each movie, I really push to do the color timing with the colorist. It's very important for my work. Yes.
do you feel you've made mistakes that you've learned more from, or do you feel like it's sort of just fun to play around, but you don't learn big things when you do it?
No, no, no. I think because when I go there, I always so I have the idea of of what I was doing, but sometimes I try something else. If I feel, oh, okay, this is a scene, but it's maybe not so exciting, and I try to find something else. And sometimes when I'm doing a feature film, I go through the movie quite quickly, and to give me the time after to experiment some scene and take more times on some scenes. Some scenes usually it's sometimes it's very easy. It's quite already there and everything is there, so you don't have to change everything. But sometimes you I don't know you are not sure and you want to experiment more and find something more exciting. Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think it's such an important thing. And I think a lot of people forget about it,
Mhm.
but like that is really your ability to sort of finish the look of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, no, no. This is to finish. For example, if let's say if a producer say, oh, the color timing we will do, I don't know. It never is happening, but never happened. But I prefer not to shoot the movie if I don't go to the color timing later.
Is it in your contract?
Part no, but I think it's part of my work. I when I'm shooting something, I know exactly what I will do after, and I really enjoy to do it. Yeah.
I want to ask a very specific question, which is how do you conceive of a scene? I know things are storyboarded and people have feelings, but like let's say like that handheld scene when the girls go and rob that place in Spring Breakers where I think you're in a car and you're going around and it's like a whole big movement, which just seemed like a really tough scene to me. Can you talk to me specifically on that, or more generally, how do you go about figuring out how you're going to execute something and how it's going to look before you begin shooting, if you do that?
Yeah, but that scenes, I think it's one of my favorite one. And so with harmony, we were thinking. So harmony, the first idea was to make a long shot like that, but also to go inside of the station, or I don't know, remember. And so we started with the long shot, and at the end we catch it the long shot quite quickly. So it was not too difficult. I was inside of the car with the girl, just alone. And I was talking also with the radio because sometimes I was unable to see inside, and the girls inside was unable to see me also, if I had to see the cars arriving and everything. And so I was just giving like a top when the car was in front of the window. I don't know. And just I say, okay, we are there. You can we can act. And so at the end, it was just we were working like that. And so we did that. And Harmony say, this is great, we have the shot, but let's go inside because we never know during the editing, maybe I will need to cut. And so we went inside. And I don't know, the next day or 2 days later, the girls was acting the scene in front of, a drugstore, or I don't know, and was acting the scene we did the 2 days before, but just for fun. And Harmony say, "Wow, this is great because you maybe it's more like a flashback." So you explain to the other girls we were inside of the drugstore, and uh, and he had the idea to keep the long shot, but after all the stuff we were shooting inside to cut on the film, but on another scene instead of and I think it was a beautiful idea to do that. Yeah.
So it sounds like you really are in the moment a lot of the time. Like
Yes,
you'll
it
go
was
in with some idea, but
Spring
throw it all
Breakers
away.
was on the moment. We didn't. It was quite interesting because even it was with no rehearsal, and we were just shooting with the girls and playing with the camera, the girls, and the girls were acting in front of the camera, and it was more like we were experimenting mostly every day. Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And I think that that's, if someone's paying attention, all these cool things can come out of these very inadvertent moments where you're like, oh, I never would have thought of that way, but that's actually way better. And it's
Right.
amazing that you and the people you work with are flexible enough and not ego driven enough to say, like,
Mhm.
oh, that is better. Let's try it out.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's
No.
cool. You've talked about the importance of a production designer. Would you mind explaining why you think that person is so important? And is there anyone you've worked with or worked with repeatedly who you feel like really is the person you gel well with?
But no, usually because each project is a bit different. Because I don't work always with the same production designer. It depends of the film and the director. Also, sometimes I like somebody and I'm fine. And but I love to work with them because for me the the location, this is mostly my lighting. I always, I explain if you have like a white wall and you have to light the white wall, it's sometimes super difficult. But if you have already like a nice colors on the wall and a nice patina or like a shiny ball, I don't know, but your lighting, it's already mostly there. Like you have to light, but and it's for that it's really important for me to have a nice collaboration with the production designer because he can also help me to for if I don't know if I sing we sing with the director about like a dark scene or something a bit, but we can also have a dark wall or black wall or and or also because I like to still to work with practical lamps, and I try to find with the art department the practicals we like to shoot, but also able to light the scene with.
So are you
And
in there with production design, like rummaging around with their stuff and looking at things?
usually when I have enough prep, I work with them a lot. Yes. For example, Spring Breakers was, but yeah, no, it was exactly because Spring Breakers, we didn't have so much money to shoot the movie. And the idea was to find already some very good locations and not move or touch too much the locations. Maybe it was a little bit for me to add some gels or but not so much to start to paint all the wall and change everything. So we did with Harmony and the production designer. Uh, we were turning, in Florida to find the good location for the movie, and that's it. And so usually it was mostly as it was. Yes.
And when you're saying you go to look, do you bring like a still camera and do you go shoot it?
Yes.
And do you talk to me about that process a little bit?
When we scout locations, I always take my still camera. If it's a digital one, but and I start to shoot, let's say, even a wide shot just to see the place and see the colors. And I also play with the colors of my camera. I don't know, it's tungsten, daylight. I don't know, just to find which color I prefer, and also how much ASA I can, because also on digital it's more easy now, but on film also when you pick a location, you need to know if you can shoot there. I have a light meter, but usually when you take a still,
Yeah.
it's much easier to see. Okay, this is completely dark. This is
Yeah.
too much, and I take a picture and I expose for the film. Let's say this is 500 ASA. I put 500 ASA. I know this is a T2, I don't know, and I take a still and I can see, okay, this is great. That will work for what we have to do. It's more
What
the way I try to prep a film for me, and also to see the colors,
yeah.
the colors of the set, and maybe on on the movie
Yeah.
because you take different location, and so after that you can see, okay, this is great because this is green, there's that one it's orange, that one, and so maybe you can make a nice mix for the film.
Yeah.
Or also
What
have
is your Oh, sorry. What is your still
a,
camera? What do you use?
usually I have a Nikon. It's a
Yeah.
Nikon. This is the 800. I say it's still an old one. It's okay, but and I have also a Sony, an Alpha One. Uh, I I still prefer the Nikon because I have old lenses from Nikon, and so okay, this is more because I was working with Nikon for forever, so I know very well my camera. But the Sony is really good too. It's another tool.
And
Yeah.
you take these lenses all over the world with you.
But I mean, for my still camera, yes, and the one for the camera, it depends of the movie. If, for example, there is, let's say, I think for that movie, my lenses doesn't work because it's not the style of the movie. I prefer not, because this is for me, it's the lenses are very important. So when I feel this is not the good lenses for the film, I don't use it, and I try to find another kind of lens. It depends.
When you look back on the last many years of shooting, do you feel there's been sort of a clear evolution of your style, or do you feel like, you know, it's very project based, or do you think you've learned more and sort of boiled down more what it is that's visually interesting to you? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, I think this is because I always try to, because for sure, probably I have a style, but I always try to do something different. Every project, I want to experiment something else. And it's for that, for example, when I told you have LEDs, this is interesting because the LED gave me the freedom to do something I was unable to do before. And I was thinking, wow, this is interesting because now maybe I can strobe, I can do stuff I like to do. And before it was difficult, or also uh, you had to know already exactly the colors you were using in terms of gel and order all the gels you needed. And so yes, on each project, and also when I decide which film I will do, it's also to see on the project if I can uh, do something different and enjoy also to do something different and not just to repeat the movie I did just before. And yeah, this is the way I tried. I always try to learn something different.
And I think it shows, right? Like I think it's interesting watching the commercial work you do now and then the cinematic work that you do, because I think, clearly you can light those sets and do all those things, which is great, but it's interesting seeing how much flexibility you really have and how project specific your execution seems to be, right? Like it's like this client wants this, you can do it and you do it your way. And this client like sort of lets you do whatever you want to do, and it's a very interesting final project. Like I think the oh, I can't remember the name, the one you did with Travis Scott,
Yeah. On the in Italy on
the
the
movie like that looked all like reverse negative. Like
yeah.
was that a
Yeah.
complete was that really hard to shoot?
Maximus Circus, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that a nightmare to shoot? Because I mean, just even thinking about it must have been a trip.
As that film was difficult because so at the beginning, it's a strange story, but they called me to shoot all the film. So because you have on the film different music video, and also you have the film in Pompeii. And so at the end, I think the production, in fact, it was difficult to manage all the stuff. So Travis Scott decided to do everything by himself, and so he go, I don't know, in Africa, he did music there. He went to Paris. I did one with Gaspar. So that he went to Stockholm. I don't remember. And but for the big part in Italy, he called me, but he called me like five days before to shoot. And when I arrived in Italy, I was thinking it was just like a music video, but it was not. It was like a huge, like on the arena, there's a big stadium, and I had to light that in just two nights. And I was thinking, well, it's impossible, to do that in 2 nights, and because it was mostly all the album to shoot, and it was with I think 6 or 7 cameras. Film, he was thinking to shoot everything on film, but at the end it was mostly impossible because I think the release was like 5 days after, and just to process all the film stock, it was too big. So at the end we went for I think three films camera, And after that, the rest was on digital. I had also a small Komodo just to follow him. And we had one on a crane, one. And the idea was to cover mostly all his album. And also, he was asking me to be able to go mostly everywhere.
Yeah.
And I had the idea to to bring like a drone with a light, if I don't know, you can see it. And so the drone was able to follow him everywhere on the stadium. and uh, and it's crazy because it was a big drone, a big drone for to hang like quite a big source. And for me, it was quite dangerous. But he was asking to have the drone very close to him. I think it was also for for the air because it was very hot on that time. It was during the summer, and also because he was interested to have the drone inside of the frame, and it was more like a visual look. And but that drone was helping me a lot in terms
Mhm.
of and I think it was cool. And so we had only 2 days to program everything, but it was too short. So they had the idea to send the music to a guy in I don't know where. It was in Canada. I don't know if it was Vancouver or Toronto. And so the guy was programming all the lighting, but digitally, on a computer. And after that, but for different songs and different looks and everything, because we were, working the 2 nights, but it was too long to program all the show and all the songs and give to Travis enough looks and everything. And so, because it was in Toronto, so you had the difference of time. So they save like, I don't know, like 9 hours to do it. And so the next morning we were working on the program on the guy in Toronto or Montreal. And so yeah, we were working on that way on that show. Yeah, it
And
was
then
a
it
little.
worked.
It was chaotic, but I think he was happy with that. I think it was also is, you know, uh, yeah, he likes when it's chaotic. I think Travis, yeah, yeah.
Because that seemed like a very, very hard shoot.
Now that one was hard, yes, because we shot like 1 hour in. I think it was 2 nights. So anyway, yeah, we did that in 2 nights. I like, let's say we started like at 5 p.m. until 5 a.m. It was like, yeah, a bit of day, and after that, yeah, I think it was 2 nights. So yeah,
What's
it
so
was a tough one, yeah.
when you aren't shooting, what else do you love? Like, what are other passions of yours besides cinematography?
But I like music also. Like because I was playing a lot of drums before,
Yeah.
so I don't play anymore. But I like music. But otherwise, no, at the end I'm working so much I don't have so
Yeah.
much time for for me. But
What do you
yeah.
have coming up next? Or did you just complete something besides the two movies you mentioned?
No, I just did. So I did the two movie last year in LA, and then now so this year I was working for a French movie.
Okay.
It's still in process, so maybe cannot
Don't
say too much about the film. And as I editing the stuff and everything, so I spent mostly half of the year on that movie. It's a beautiful film. And that one we were shooting on digital with the old lenses,
Wow.
beautiful and morphic stuff. And it's a nice project. After that, I was mostly working on commercials, and now I prep a movie for next year. Yes,
How
like
long is that going to
French,
take?
it's a French film too, and that will be probably 3 months of shooting.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
nice. It's 12. I think it's I don't know exactly 65 days or something like that.
Wow.
So it's three
Okay.
months. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Are
Yeah.
you going to use, is it digital or film this next movie?
That one where I would love to do on film, but
Yeah.
it's still in process. I try maybe to do a mixed on this
Okay.
one. Maybe
Perfect.
to shoot all the close up on film, to
Yeah.
have the skin tone and then probably the wide shot more on digital. That way we
Is it
will.
Is it hard to suture those two things together, or do you have a technique that works well in post to
You
meld
know,
those two?
I learned when I did the Miley Cyrus, we were shooting on film,
Yeah,
all the music videos on film. And I had, because we had a lot of retro projection on the Miley Cyrus, and I was asking to have a digital camera. It was the Alexa 35, just to control the flicking. Because sometimes when you shoot a big screen, you have some flickering.
yeah,
And on film, it's hard to see. So with the digital camera, you can see directly if you have some issue with that. And so in one moment, the two cameras was close to get together. And I shot exactly the same image with the two cameras, so one on film and
yeah.
one on digital. And when I go for the color timing, I say to the guy, can I see the two cameras to see the difference? And it's crazy because when you have the film camera and you can compare and you can say, okay, I would love to have the look of the film camera with the digital camera. And they mostly can do it. I was impressed because it was, even for me, mostly impossible to see the difference. But it was just because you have the film reference
To match two.
to match the other one. Otherwise, it's very difficult to
Interesting.
create a film look. For sure it's possible, but you never. And on this film, I'm prepping. I If we cannot shoot all the movie on film, I was thinking maybe to do that to have anyway a film camera close by, and maybe after that I will be able to compare and to match. Yeah.
It's a new tool, a new
Yeah,
way to
yeah,
shoot things to
exactly.
get what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, because I learned that on the Miley, and it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, again, I would love for digital to have more of that, sort of visual honesty. I think it would be so cool if it could approximate more of what film can do because there's just such a difference to me still, at
You
least.
know, on digital, what I learned also, it's very difficult to have directly a beautiful image. I don't know, you shoot something, you light, I still light the same way I was lighting on film, but it's never very, okay, it's okay. But when when you have the film camera, it's already super nice. The grading usually it's super easy because everything is there. You don't have to retouch everything. And yeah, there is a big difference still, I think.
Do you think part of it is depth? Because I always feel like part of it's depth, at least in still pictures, that there's a flatness to digital that I have to build all of that back in, which I find is very labor intensive.
Yeah, and to change the background and everything. I don't know. I think also what I can learn on digital, sometimes it's in focus or it's not in focus. And on film, you have like a nice gradation between the focus and the out of focus, and the fall off. It's quite beautiful, I think. But on digital, it's okay. This is sharp or not sharp. It's
I
there is
agree
some,
with you. I
oh,
agree
yeah.
with you. And I think that's part of the deficit of it,
And
which
even
again
for
is,
example, when it's soft on film, sometimes I love it. It's
yeah.
even like very artistic, but on digital, it's never so good.
I think that's an excellent point, and I think that's very true. I love your work, and I'm so happy that more people are gonna know more about you because I just think there isn't anyone else like you, and I really do. I have so much admiration for what you do, and I'm always surprised and interested in like I would see a movie because you shot it, not because someone else directed it. So it's really a pleasure to get to talk to you about it.
Okay, thank you so much. Huh?
Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Benoit.
Thank you. Bye.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.